Welcome back to the Side Chat Podcast, and this week Cobey and I are going to discuss our 3 years in War Thunder. We started about 1.27, just shortly before 1.29 came out. That was like February, March of 2013 when the B-25 came in, so it's been a while. We're going to kind of reflect on our time in War Thunder, the things we've seen, and where War Thunder was, and where it is, and might be where it's going. I have some real quick announcements though, some big things going on. I've been really busy. First off, this Saturday, on the 20th, we'll be hosting a Rising Storm Day. Basically, I'm planning on playing between 9 to 12 hours, depending on how long I can go. But we're going to be doing a ton of giveaways. 6 copies of Rising Storm, The Crew, the brand new Assassin's Creed, Verdun, giving away a couple t-shirts. So if you don't have Rising Storm, show up early because we're giving away 6 copies. You might have a chance to win, download it, and join us. But we have a 64-man server. Should be a lot of fun. Also, this week I have launched the Bowtime Gaming Forums. It's a much easier way for you guys to reach out to us and plug into the community. A lot of you have been emailing me, messaging me on Facebook, on Twitter, which has been great, except when you message me on Facebook, sometimes I don't see it for like 3 to 5 months later. So I kind of feel terrible because I'm like, oh, that's a really good comment made last year. So this will be much easier for you guys. Also on the forums, we have a screenshot competition going on for War Thunder. Between now and March 16th, you can post your favorite War Thunder screenshot of yours, and you might win 1,000 Golden Eagles. So, that's been said, moving back on to the subject of War Thunder, Cobey and I got started because we saw a Rabba's video called The Canadian Policeman. I believe he was flying a Beaufighter or a Beaufort or something, and that really had Cobey and I's interest engaged. To that moment, Cobey and I played a bunch of World War II aviation games, but nothing really good. I think the one we played just before that was called Damage Inc., and it was pretty silly.
It was pretty bad.
So War Thunder had our attention because we've never been able to find anything basically of decent quality for this. I know there's been some good IL-2 games before that, but we were never really interested by simulation games. Like, we wanted that kind of casual to intermediate experience. When we first downloaded it, we had to go, I believe, to the warthunder.ru website because either the English one didn't exist or we couldn't find it.
Yeah, there wasn't an English version. There's an English version of the game, but not a website to download it.
So we had to use Google Translate, and it was pretty sketchy. I remember trying to convince Mo,
sketchy.
Go to this website and download this Russian game. Click on the button that says blah, 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 blah. And he's like, you're making me download a virus, aren't you? And I was like, no, it's good, I promise you. I remember that fun conversation. But the first couple months, Cobey and I just pretty much played arcade. Actually, a bunch of us played arcade. And it was fun. We just played a crap ton of biplanes to kind of pass the time because we didn't have anything else to play. It didn't really hold our attention. It was just kind of something we did for a couple hours at night after work to just to kind of casually play something, which was cool. And then we had a guy we were playing with who dragged us into HB for the first time, and that was absolutely terrifying. But once you get over that first learning curve, and I say HB because at the time it was called Historical Battles, now it's called RB, Realistic Battles. But the first time you kind of entered HB, it was very scary. And I think most of us who've played RB for the first time, it was very scary. And then you get over that initial learning curve and you realize this is actually, at least for us, a better game mode. This is what we wanted in a game like this. Like I said, the more casual to intermediate flight simulator. Why I call it casual to intermediate for RBs, because a true flight sim doesn't have third-person cameras.
It's Diet Sim.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, light sim light we'll call RB.
Yep.
A lot, and they have mouse aim, which you won't find in majority of the real simulator games. So HB, I remember the matchmaking. We'll talk about matchmaking first because that's always been a hot subject for War Thunder. The early matchmaker was a 20-tier system, and each aircraft had a tier 1, tier 5, so on. I think the old P-38 and the HS-129 was like tier 12. So it could face up to, I believe, early on, like tier 16 because there weren't that many players.
Yeah.
And so I remember facing like Sabres in my P-38, and I was like, holy crap, This is terrible. I remember facing Dora 13s in my Wildcat. So for an early player, it was like, oh my god, what am I doing wrong? And then, I wasn't doing anything wrong, it was the game. Then I believe they dialed that back to like it was only a 2-tier, so it was like either, if you're flying like tier 5, you either get tier 5 and 6, or like tier 5 and 4. I could be wrong on this, it's been a long time. And then they ditched that for the battle rating system, which, if you remember, I put out a hour-and-a-half long video where I screamed, oh my god, the world is falling, its battle ratings will never work. And for the most part, I still feel that way. I kind of gave battle ratings a chance. I've actually made some spreadsheets in the past for when they did battle rating updates. And there's even at some point early battle ratings that you have aircraft from 1934, I think, facing 1942 aircraft. So you have a massive span of time of aircraft development facing each other. That's my problem with the battle ring system, and also the other one, which I think Gaijin has really failed us, is when they kind of first announced the battle ring system. It wasn't supposed to be 1.3, was it 1.7, 2.0? There, as more planes were coming in, they were supposed to add the other decimals in there, so it'd be 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Stretch things out more so it's not so compressed. And all Gaijin's kind of done is compress, 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 right? And we're seeing that the top tier jets, they all basically see each other now, and that doesn't surprise me. That's why I didn't want battle ratings. I don't like these aircraft being based on player performance, and I'd like to see a game where planes like the P-47, where the 109F4, where the 109E3, where the, let's say, Yak-3, where the planes that dominated World War II should be the planes that you would primarily want to pick for a game like this, right? But of course the P-47 is good. It has 850 caliber guns, it has R-2000, has lots of armor, and still it has a low battle rating, so that's not a good example. But you see where I'm getting at. I'd like to see you can't make a matchmaker for a game like this simplified down to a battle rating table.
Especially a very small one like we have now.
I was kind of happy that they announced a quantitative matchmaking system where it's going to be like, hey, there's only going to be 4 B-17s on your team, or 4 of this, or 4 of that, and split it up. Of course, that system, I don't know where that went. I think that's in the trash can somewhere at Gaijin headquarters. But just balance. That's all I want is balance, I hate flying high-tier U.S. or high-tier British because usually there's 1 or 2 fighters and the rest of your team is bombers.
Yeah.
That's not very much fun. You need to find a way to make it work, and that's been the same subject we talked about forever and ever and ever, and that's why I don't really talk about it much.
I think they've sacrificed a lot of that for queue times.
Well, absolutely, because the old War Thunder, the old 20-tier system, I remember getting my F-80 back in the day, and I wish I had the screenshot still. I had to wait 55 minutes one time for a match in the F-80, so I completely understand why they compressed the battle ratings. Especially for ground forces, where you have your T-54s, and they've kind of pushed other tanks up that direction to give the T-54s things to shoot at. I understand what's going on. They're trying to make sure, and we shouldn't have to wait. No game, I believe, you should have to wait more than 2 minutes for a match. If you have to wait more than 2 minutes for a match, you have a serious issue with your game. And for a world today, 2 minutes is a long time to wait for anything in today's world. Let's face it, 5 minutes is ridiculous. Right. So that's kind of matchmaker. I've just never been happy with it, but I had to come to a point, especially I think it was 1.39, 1.41, where I decided I either accept the War Thunder we have or you don't play it. And I decided to keep playing it, and I just accepted what we have. I kind of decided to stop complaining, stop bitching, stop trying to fight it. War Thunder's not taking my advice or literally anybody's advice, so why should I expend the energy? Either play War Thunder or don't. That's literally all the options we have. But flight models, let's talk about a happier note. Flight models. Early on, 3 years ago, the flight models were absolutely horrendous in this game.
They were atrocious.
And even the damage models. The biggest example I can give you is the early Beaufighter could outturn single-engine props. The only way you could take that damn thing down was by shooting the pilot out. And it was and I think even climbed better than some single-engine props.
Yeah, it did. It was bulletproof. It was faster. It climbed better. It dove faster. It turned sharper. It was unstoppable.
It was a troll's paradise, and they fixed things like that. The early P-47 literally climbed up to, I think, about 5,000 to 6,000 feet, and that might be generous, and just kind of flew across the map like a javelin until you just got, until you went over the middle and just died. The early Hellcat could barely take off. It just didn't have any power. They fixed a majority of these things. And so flight models, even though I'll never say they're perfect or anywhere near correct, they are so much better than they were 3 years ago. And so that's one thing that I think they took criticism from, and they actually improved their game. Now, when it comes to flight models, like I said, for SimLight, which is RB, you have some things that aren't anywhere correct just in the base gameplay. And I think part of that might be due to the game engine not being able to do things correctly. But one thing that we always have this conversation of is, and we always have this conversation during streams, is the control surfaces, right? Now we have the new blackout mechanic. And let's be honest, a P-40 cannot pull, let's say, 11G sometimes?
No, absolutely not. The airplane would destroy itself.
Right, the pilot wouldn't just pass out. You'd have other problems. And the pilot would have to be basically, He-Man or the Hulk sitting in there to make this aircraft do this.
Yep.
So War Thunder...
Whatever you put in, you cut out.
Right. So the physical human being will not be able to pull those maneuvers early on, and that's something War Thunder's kind of always missed. So my biggest gripe is every game, every sim, even space sims have mechanics where you black out if you pull too many Gs. I just wish it had a better way of warning you, because it's kind of like go, 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 snap, you're blacked out, right? It doesn't give you any real lead up to that point. So I think that's a mechanic that's going to be fixed. A lot of people say the mechanic should be taken out. I think the mechanic should be refined. Unfortunately, I think they didn't do enough testing on it, so they put out something kind of on the bad side, and then the community, of course, is going to reject it, and then we'll probably either see it taken out or it's going to stay the same. I think it's a mechanic that needed to be added, but refined. That's my opinion. I'll make that clear. So let's talk about the community. Every video game I've ever played, when a game first comes out, you have the most hardcore, enthusiastic players joining it. And when War Thunder came out, the forums were full of just aviation people. You had gearheads, you had people who were mechanics in real life, you had even some historians, you had, veterans. If you named it, the community was really made up of a lot of people who knew their stuff. People like Cobey here. And as the game kind of went along, either people lose interest for one reason or another. They're not happy where the game's going, they get bored with it, life happens, whatever. And as War Thunder kind of became more mainstream, I think you saw more casual players come in. And then you had the PS4 launch, you had the Steam release, so now we're kind of seeing the more, I call it, casual player. I know that some of the old community is still around, and I'm not saying the old community is any way better than the new community. But you're just seeing kind of like a changing of the guard, and I think I'm kind of seeing it again recently, because you're seeing a lot of newer players under the age of 18. And because I see that in the chat, the way they behave and whatever, it's kind of immature. But on the other side, I've seen it in the YouTube video comments, I've seen it on the Twitch stream, is you have a lot of young kids who come in, or younger gentlemen, we'll put that way, who come in and ask real questions about aircraft. They don't know much about this. They haven't had much exposure to this. They're just starting to get into military history, and so they're asking stuff about Spanish Civil War, World War II, Pacific Theater, the Eastern Front, and even Korea. And I think that's fantastic that they're getting exposure to something that happened a long time ago, that they would have had interest in previously. So I'm kind of thankful for that. But yeah, War Thunder's done a lot of things that has irritated me or made me disappointed. The times 2's leaving, the times 4's on the weekends, or times 5's I think was on the weekends. Yep. I missed that. 5, yep. I don't like the booster system. I don't like this. I can go on forever for things I don't like. But we'll never see another game like this again, where we'll see Tempest 2s, Sea Furies, 262Cs, Arados. What else is kind of rare?
Boomerang.
Yeah, Boomerang. Warway. We're never going to see another game like this possibly in the next 10 years that has this many World War II aircraft in it again. And so for that reason, I'm thankful I played War Thunder as much as I have, and I'm glad that Gaijin's made this game, because others that have tried anything like this, it's been kind of bad. And so for that part, like I said, I just want to say I am thankful. I just wish that Gaijin was a bit different. And I don't know if it's because of the culture, is that maybe where the miscommunication is. It's like Gaijin did all of the hard stuff well. They built a good game engine that works on many different spectrums of systems and PS4. They do amazing visual models for their aircraft and tanks. They do this, they do that. And then simple things like community management, they just fail miserably at. All you have to do is hire like a PR company that says do this and don't do that. It's not that hard. And then, take feedback and criticism, right? Like, the reason why we give feedback and criticism to War Thunder is because we care about the game. We're passionate. And I think they see that as us just hating on their product, and that's not true. If anything, we might care for the product just as much as the person developing it, the person who had the original vision. This is all something we wanted, and that's why we're playing it. And I wish that War Thunder was just able to act more constructively on criticism. The other trend I've seen of how War Thunder deals with the community, which has been kind of disturbing, I'll say this, is every time there's a huge uproar. 2 weeks ago, there was a huge uproar over the new battle ratings. And then what happened last week, a dev blog magically appeared of 3 DO335s coming into the game. And it went from pitchforks and Molotov cocktails to, oh my god, DO335, War Thunder, you're the best.
Yeah.
We saw it last year, around late March. The community was uproar over something, I can't remember what. And then April Fool's Day came, and we had mechs, and we had tanks that shot potatoes, and everything was awesome again. And so I'll just kind of laugh. It's like, like, I guess we really do have the attention span of a raccoon, which is kind of disappointing. But I think this is just the path that War Thunder's going. We seem to get the same kind of mediocre patch every... they fix some bugs, we get some new tanks, we get some new airplanes, we get a few new maps, we get new battle ratings, we get new economy changes, and that's the patch. We don't... They really need to, for the game's sake, step up development on other things. Get Enduring Confrontation knocked out. At least start work on ships and show us to work on ships and let us give you feedback on what we want in a naval branch.
Yeah.
Let us give you ideas. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there have ideas how to possibly fix matchmaking, how to possibly fix this or that, or ideas for this. Just listen to the community. You're 3 years in development, right? What 3 years for a video game is a long time. And so if you want to keep this ship sailing, there's a lot of people who want to help you. You see us, I know a lot of people get frustrated because we really don't take requests. We don't fly very much high tier. It's because, at least for me, I have thousands of hours in this game. I think Cobey probably has close to at least, 1,000 hours, maybe?
I've got more than 1,000 hours. I got 800-something hours in Steam alone. I probably played easily double that, or at least that, and before it came to Steam.
Yeah, so when we say all these comments, at least, we're not experts, but we do have a little bit of experience with this game. And, we just like to play low tier because I think, at least for myself, I know probably for Cobey, that 1942 to 1945 years of aircraft are just magical warbirds that we love so much. And then you kind of get into the jet stuff, the early jet stuff, which I really just, it's not where my passion is. You see a lot of the stuff I publish, especially in podcasts or so on, is about 1944, 1945 aircraft. That's because where our passion is. That's what we care about, and that's what seems to be the most fun in the game. Like I said earlier, when I step up into, U.S. matches of high tier, I end up with bombers as teammates, and that's not fun. I don't like facing 15 B-17s looking back at me. That's not why I play War Thunder. I think we're gonna keep playing, but you see the channel. Some weeks I upload 1 or 2 videos. Some weeks I upload 4 after a patch. That's kind of what you're gonna see. Just because I'm not uploading a ton of War Thunder doesn't mean I stopped playing it. And some people freak out like, "Oh my God, Bo, you haven't put up a War Thunder video in 3 days." Well, yeah, I have thousands of hours in this game. Please let me have a couple hours off. As soon as War Thunder puts out a patch, I'm sure whenever patch 1.57 comes out, I'll happily, if the P61 gets added, which is suspect, I'll be happy to do that. I'll talk for hours about the P61. That's where my passion is. That's where Cobey's passion is. And that's why we keep playing, is because we love these warbirds, and there's literally no other place for us to go. I've been playing a little bit of IL-2 Battle Stalingrad. You saw the Rise of Flight video. And I play those games a little bit off on my off time because I'll admit it, I don't have much experience when it comes to these hardcore sims. I'm trying to learn. I might do some streams later on with them, but I'm still learning. I'm trying to get to that next level where I feel competent. I feel like I've climbed that War Thunder mountain, and I'm trying to find other places, like other flight sims, to go to that next level, personally. You have any comments you want to add?
Yeah, a couple. The game's beautiful. The game really is nice. It is a very, very pretty game. They do a lot of things good, like the Waveworks, I think, was a pretty nice addition. I only fly low tier stuff because it's fun. I hate the high tier stuff. I have 2 jets, 3 jets, 2 jets, 3 jets, and I can't stand flying them. I hate them.
You have a vampire now that faces MiG-17s. How's that fun?
I have a vampire? Yeah, exactly. I have the shittiest, slowest jet in the game, and I get ass rammed by MiG-17s 10 seconds after I take off. Same with the Venom too. I have the Venom as well, and I have this Marine Attacker, and they're just terrible. So I stick to low tier stuff. I wish that there was a way to spawn fighters with the bombers, instead of having the bombers go in balls deep at 6 miles ahead of everyone, and with the 10 to 20,000 foot altitude advantage over fighters that don't climb very well to begin with. I don't know. There's a lot of things, but overall, I think the game is pretty nice. The game is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, some of the screenshots that I've seen have just been absolutely amazing. It is a very pretty game. I have a lot of high hopes for it. I just have a feeling that it's probably going to burn up before it actually reaches its full potential.
I think it's safe to say, we're 3 years in now. We're closer to the end than we are the beginning at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
And it's up to Gaijin as to what those last chapters of this game are. Like I said, there's simple things. If they just added... The community forever has been complaining about fire extinguishers for tanks, right? If they just, in the coding entered FPEs for all ground forces vehicles, refund Silver Lions and RP for those who already have it, the community would do backflips, right? It wouldn't be that hard. We're asking for basic things that we just never seem to get, and that's where the frustration is. And so that's why I just don't really, you can hear it, my voice probably right now. It's almost like a defeatist attitude at this point, right? Because I can make videos about this all day long, complaining and criticizing this and that, and there's really no point. I've seen a little bit more into Gaijin's operations than most people have, as just for being a YouTuber, and it's difficult. To my knowledge, the community managers and the moderators have little contact with the actual Russian side, the people who develop the game. They're employees who basically get an email and say, do this, do that, or whatever. I could be completely wrong, but this is at least what I've heard and kind of what I've seen. And so they're kind of here to babysit, and they're here to keep things running, and they're here to do this and that, right? And so they do the best they can to give us the information and so on. They have a very tough job because Gaijin doesn't make it easy for them. And they have to deal with a community who is typically hostile. And so I can understand just how it's a terrible situation for everybody. And Gaijin could literally easily fix this by just let the information flow a bit freer, That's it. Let us know what's up. Let us know what's up with ships. Let us know what's up with matchmaking, right? Is there any plans for matchmaking? Just tell us, and we'll be 10 times happier, instead of just being, surprised. We don't like surprises.
I just wish communication was more of a two-way street than it is just a fire hose. Fire hose is just everything coming out of them, and out of them, but there's nothing receiving on the other end, you know what I mean? Nothing's being received. I wish it was just more of a two-way street. The game could be dramatically improved very quickly if they actually just listen to people.
The only thing that I know that actually goes through is bug reports. That's it. To my knowledge, any other criticism seems to get lost along the way. And that's no way to run a game. Especially when the community cares or cared as much as it has. But anyway, like I said, if you have any questions or comments, feel free. Like I said, this is our two opinions of players who played a lot. We're not anybody special. We're just two guys who played a lot of this game and have opinions after playing X amount of hours of this game. But like I said, this Saturday, we'll be doing Rising Storm. Love to see you drop by, possibly win something. And check out the new forums, screenshot competition, 1,000 Golden Eagles. All you gotta do is make an account, post your screenshot, and you might get a message that you won 1,000 Golden Eagles in a month. Other than that, like I said, leave a comment. And if you have any comments below about what we said or anything you feel free to leave them. The reason why we did this video is because we just felt like it would be nice to reflect on it, because we don't really talk much about our opinions of War Thunder anymore. Thanks for listening, and the next two podcasts are already kind of lined up. We're going to do a Grumman biplane podcast, and then a U.S. Naval torpedo podcast after that. I kind of took a break after the holiday season I've been working on a ton of stuff, but I've also just wanted to recharge the batteries and start doing these on a more regular basis. Anyway, thanks again.
Bye.